Aloha, Grand Rising, everyone. So I didn't think I'd be making this video because I was kind of debating for a while whether or not I wanted to come on here and talk about that. But, you know, all this Aries energy, so we have a stellium in Aries, which is 3 or more planets. So we got the sun, we got Mercury, Venus, and we also had the moon moving into Aries. So, you know what, I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. So whenever somebody asks me that I just met what my ethnicity is, I'm like, guess, because I don't feel like it's relevant in any way. Like, why are you trying to put me in a box so you can like project your preconceived notions on who I am as a person? Like, you don't see me asking you where your parents come from. Like, the fuck? Like, I'm from the fucking extraterrestrial star system. That's why I'd say. I'm like, most people guess like 90% of the time people don't know what I am, so you can't define me. You can't define me with a fucking race label thing, so get that shit out of here. The reason why I have a hard time talking about this is because it's gonna be personal, and as a Scorpio sun and Aquarius midheaven, you know, I'm not the type to get really personal on things, but this is gonna be related to my physical genotype and phenotype and why I incarnated here at this time as an Asian female. So I just think that the Asian race is very yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of things that I want to cover. Almost like Asian people are like trending nowadays. It's like because I guess they're exotic looking or just certain like I don't know, it's just the timing of everything. I'm just gonna say, when people think about race, they think black and white usually, so it's like, think about the pole shift, right? Like, the roles are gonna reverse, because what people call the minority is actually the majority. Like, white people came from the original melanated carbon beings, and their genes got entangled with some Neanderthal genes, and Asian people got entangled with some monkey genes, and the white people also got some dog genes in them. But you know, it's okay because we're all here together on this on this planet. So a theory that my twin flame and I came up with is that Asian people are actually connected to the insectilian race of extraterrestrials. So if you think about it, they're so like straight to the point, they have like straight hair, they fucking eat with their chopsticks, you know, so it's like straight, everything is just straight A's, straight to the point, straight hair. They even have like flat feet, because this is actually something that I restructured in myself once I had the knowledge from massage school. I learned about human anatomy, and I was able to restructure the baseline genetic program that I was given. And I just want to say, like, I know I came here at this time to break the generational curses from my family, and there's a lot of things that Asian people do that I don't agree with, and I just feel like I had a hard time just relating to people for the longest time that are also Asian, because they do things that are just so, I don't even know, like I don't even know, like, what the fuck. Also, insects have like this hive mind mentality, which is why so many Asian people have this lack of self-worth. They just know how to work fucking 7 days a week, like that's supposed to be your life and shit. Like, I mean, growing up, I know a lot of uncles that just had like, all they know how to do is fucking work. And I even went into that pattern for a bit, did that for a little bit, and it's like the default that you want to break out of, because if you stay in that mindset, it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve higher expansion of spirit. Something that I've noticed is that Asian people associate emotions with weakness, and they think like the feminine is weak because they so focus on the physical realm that and they're so in their minds too, like they're not in their bodies. That's something I noticed overall just from my observations, knowing what it's like to be grounded and ungrounded. But, you know, being in the mind ungrounded versus being in the spiritual ungrounded are two different things. And a lot of Asian people are just so stuck in their fucking minds that they can't even feel. Like, how are you gonna awaken your DNA if your kundalini is gonna be sleeping because you think that's weak? You know, growing up as like the only Asian person in the area I was at, or the schools that I went to, it was very I kind of had to like assimilate by being racist towards myself, and I would make racist jokes all the time and shit. And it is kind of funny because none of this shit is even real, and I kind of knew that from a young age, so it didn't really affect me that much. But the older I get, the more I realize, like, the more you repeat something, the more it becomes ingrained. And I was doing that for years of my life, like early on. So yeah, it's just been a lot of work, and it's so worth it. If you think about it, race is such an illusion that people get caught up in the physical, artificial light matrix. People just have this, they take in whatever they're being fed by this artificial light, which is the TVs, which is the media, which is the programs that are constantly playing 24/7. And it's like, when you get caught into that, you believe that the only thing that's real is physical, which is why, like, racism is just such a low vibe state to be in. And when you think about the galactic races and how different they are, and like, you have the feline race, you have the fucking praying mantis, you have like just certain races of like avians, reptilians, that are so far different in how they look, and also their abilities too. So epigenetics is something too. It's like you can literally alter your phenotype, and it's something that I've been working with since I've been on this island. In terms of the insect thing, that's why Asian people are so good at like small detail oriented things, and just like, that's why they're so tiny too, just like on a scale comparing humans, like. And that's also why a lot of people say that Asian people look the same, because if you zoom out on a group of insects, and they kind of do all look the same. But, you know, people, those are the ones that just do what they're told. Those are the fucking communist people who, like, are straight up robots at this point, because they just so brainwashed. And that's not what I'm speaking on, but I just wanted to bring that up as an example. Because of the hive mentality, they tend to have lack of self-worth, and also from a young age, they don't know what self-love is. Like, they just are they're very not emotionally driven, because their parents are very, like, straight to the point. I just feel like it's very insectilian the way that they do things, because they're very, like, you know, just the way they operate. Think about it. The human race is seeded from so many different origins of so many different beings that are on a galactic level also, like, exist. They also exist on a macrocosmic and a microcosmic level. Spirituality is something that I realize is very rare in Asian people, because like it's very frowned upon. Like, in their culture, it's like the monks are the ones that you have to like go to that extreme in order to be spiritual or some shit. But in today's day and age, it's like the reawakening of this ancient knowledge, and it's no longer like you have to find a guru if you're Indian, or if you're Asian, if you're Tibetan, you had to go to the mountains. And but it's not like that anymore. It's like the North Node is in Gemini at this point, so it's like we're all students of this experience on a cerebral level. It's no longer like South Node in Sagittarius is about the physical adventures, going places to learn and just experiences, whereas Gemini, you know, is the information age, is super quick. It's this DNA activating, and the DNA activation is like, most people think that we only had 2 strands of DNA, but we actually got 12. So when you are spiritually doing the work and reprogramming yourself and not repeating your old family patterns and doing things in a completely different way that nobody in your family line has done before in this lifetime, in this incarnation, then you're bringing new energies onto the planet through what you're doing in your physical form. Think about that. So DNA activation is when your kundalini actually is involved. It's about your spinal, think about like Christ 33 is in the spine. The cerebral spinal fluid has plasma. It moves into the crown, activates like the milk and honey is what they call it. And then the 12 cranial nerves bring that to the rest of your body, and the 12 cranial nerves represent the 12 disciples. So the Bible is all allegorical in my opinion. Of course, there are some parts that are more symbolic. A lot of Asian people mistake like materialism with self-worth. It's like the ones that do have money, they don't know how to actually take care of their health and do the higher evolved things, which is like spirituality. And the ones that do have money are spending it on like stupid designer shit. Like, I was actually doing that for a huge part of my life. The way I was programmed was, if you make straight A's, we'll buy you whatever you want, and what you want is this Gucci and Prada. And I actually ended up selling all of that. It was like the beginning of my spiritual journey, where I had to purge and release all these old programs. It's so weird, because when I see another Asian person, I feel so different from them, and I feel like I can't like relate to a lot of the things that they do. I feel like you almost have to try in order to not be spiritual in today's day and age, because information is everywhere. Like, you have to be so closed off to just not to completely turn a blind eye to the so-called conspiracy theorists. Like, the president is fake. He's signing blank pieces of paper. He's not even in the fucking Oval Office and shit. Some of the Asian people in my generation are just so conservative because they so stuck in these programs, and like a lot of the things that they were taught, they trust the government, they think they care about you, they think that in order to do good in the world you have to have a high-ranking job, and so much bullshit that is just not the future from what I see. Just dropping out of college, even, like, you don't do that in an Asian family. If you do, they like disown you. Like, my dad didn't talk to me for a whole month when I quit college, and it's like, just doing that, listening to my higher calling is actually what made me do it. Is like, that is what is breaking the curses, because it takes an indigo child to do that. I'm just gonna say they actually got more chill as we got more older. Like, they just didn't really, they weren't strict in certain ways once they realized that you can't control certain children, which is why I know, like, I chose my parents to come here and just do the work that I came here to do. So thanks for tuning in today. If you like this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what you think about the insectillion theory, because I feel like it's very interesting, and the more, like, I see it from a spiritual perspective, and I just want to know what y'all think. So subscribe for more content, and peace, aloha.